Hey everybody, it's May 12th, 2021, and this is going to be a genuine flea market finds episode, and I'm going to be featuring a lot of machinist tools that I was able to pick at the tractor show and flea market that I went to down in Connecticut a couple of weeks ago. I'm just finally getting caught up on doing some videos here, and quite frankly, at the rate I'm going, this probably won't even air until July. Anyways, let's dive right in. I got some pretty good deals. Haven't been able to get to this show because of COVID. They've been canceling it. They canceled, I think, all 3 shows last year. So this spring show was the first show in quite a while. And I actually thought I would find more stuff, but I did all right. And it was a fun day. Brought my youngest son Mark with me, and we spent the day looking at old tractors and just hunting for deals. So let's dive right in. All right, so first purchase of the day was this surface gauge. I got it for $5 because it's an ugly, rusty looking surface gauge. It's going to need some cleaning up, but it's got the right look to it. It sure as heck looks to me like it's going to be a Starrett. Of course, with a lot of these early Starrett surface gauges, there's no markings whatsoever on the base, but these tend to be marked. These tend to be marked right up here. Yeah, it took a little bit of cleaning, but there it is right there. So clearly marked LS Starrett right there. So for what it lacks in condition, it makes up for in completeness the fact that it's got, you know, all the parts, including the original scriber by the looks of it here. I've got engraving over here by the owner. The pins, I'm sure, are seized. So not even going to bother doing anything with that. I'm going to sell it just the way it is. I'm going to make somebody a good deal on it. One of my regular buyers, he specializes in cleaning this kind of stuff up and making it look like new. He enjoys doing it, I think. It's a labor of love for him, so maybe he'll be interested in that. Another dealer that I happened to spot on his table, he had a few machinist things. Prices were a little bit higher on some of those things, so I wasn't interested in them. But then I saw this Indicol model 178. Although this doesn't say this actually says model 625-8522. Interesting color. Usually these are black. Matter of fact, my first thought was, is it possible that this is a clone that somebody stuck in an Indicol box? Yeah, so anyways, I find it highly doubtful that somebody took a clone Indicol and threw it into a genuine Indicol box. I think this is just an earlier or later one because it's being sold through Enco Manufacturing Company. And they're calling this the Style S. But it's 1 7/8 inch diameter, which would make it identical to the regular model 178, which means it'll fit a spindle on a Bridgeport J head. I got that for $15, and I'll probably get 25 or 30 for it. This next item is one of the few non-machinist related items that I scored. Came across a dealer that just had all kinds of household stuff, and there was a box with some items in it that led me to believe there might be some electronic stuff around, and I did some digging and I found these 2 boxes, and I noticed that this box is full of new old stock capacitors, but these are the foil type capacitors. These are GTE branded, so just to give you an idea what these look like. So these are the foil mylar or whatever the heck, I forgot what they call this type of capacitor. But anyways, we got a pretty decent assortment of them here, quite a few of them. Polystyrene, it's right there. Polystyrene film capacitor. I couldn't think of the name, and it was right on the cover here. Now it's interesting. They say GTE on the bag, but this is NAP, Consumer Electronics Company. NAP stands for North American Phillips. And then there was also this box of diodes. These are all diodes in here, and apparently they are Zener diodes for voltage regulation because they have all voltage ratings on them, and these numbers are too small to be the peak inverse voltage, so these must be like 4.3 volt. That's definitely going to be Zener diodes. So these are Zener or Zener diodes, if you like. And I got this box and this box, the two boxes together for $5. So that's a good deal. Oh, and as long as we're talking about non-machinist related items, I was looking through a pile of junk and I spotted this tuning fork. And it intrigued me because it has these weights on the end, and there's a set screw, so it appeared to me that you could slide these weights up and down and basically change the frequency of the tuning fork. So I thought that was kind of neat. And it's actually marked Adams in an interesting manner, the way that it's reminds me of the old like Bayer aspirin logo. They've got Adams there in a crisscross fashion. And then on the other side here, it's marked 128C, Germany. And I believe that the 128C indicates that this is supposedly set to frequency of 128 hertz, and that would, I think maybe that would denote the note C. So in full disclosure, I may not be an exact 128 hertz any longer, because I did loosen these and move these down because I wanted to see what would happen. Turns out there was like a pretty good indentation where the set screws were, so I was able to put these back to pretty much right where they were. But that is exactly how this works. You can actually move these and change the frequency of this thing. But it's, marked 128C. So I thought this was neat as heck, and I had no idea what the value was on it, and I had to give $2 whole for it. Turns out these aren't exactly extremely valuable, and for whatever reason, apparently they have something to do with testing your middle ear or something like that, because a lot of these are listed on eBay under the medical section. So go figure. So I don't know much about them. Thought it was kind of a neat little novelty thing. Turns out it's not worth a whole heck of a lot, but hey, I'm only into it for $2. Another dealer didn't have much in the way of machinist tools, but I happened upon this interrapid indicator amongst all the junk there, and it's got issues. It's going to need a little bit of love. So it's got some problems with it, and that's why I only gave $10 for it. But I mean, if it's not completely destroyed, I'll give $10 for an interrapid indicator any day of the week. And this is a 310 B2, so this is an early one. So you can see it actually is responding. It's just sticking. So that may or may not be an easy fix. Actually, I think it was that same dealer had this sitting there, and it caught my eye. And my first thought was that it didn't work because nothing I seemed to do seemed to make anything happen. And then he brought to my attention, when I asked him how much, that it does in fact work, and explained to me that it doesn't start to light up and register until you're within the limit. So it's it's for inspection purposes. This should be mounted on a stand, and then set with either a known good part or a gauge block. And then once it's set, then you would use it as a test to see if whatever it is you're inspecting is in tolerance. So what will happen is if I push up on this slowly and I reach that low limit, there you go, it'll light up. So I actually have it upside down. Pardon me. So sensitive. So there's the negative side of 0, and there's the positive side of 0. And there's all of these little settings right here. I actually found a manual online that explains that you're supposed to use a ballpoint pen to push these and set them. And I can't even begin to tell you. I tried setting some of these limits and couldn't figure out how to do it. Of course, it was very hard to try and do anything considering I didn't have this on a stand at the time. But it does appear to be working. There's a plug on the top here that apparently allows you to plug in a remote sensor. Okay, so there was a way to actually plug in a remote sensor and have a wire that went over to the test jig. After he explained to me that it was working perfectly fine and all that, I'm thinking, well, here we go, and then it's going to be too much money. But it turns out he gave this away for $5. So I thought, wow, that's really cool. But I looked them up, and they're not terribly valuable in working conditions. So, I didn't exactly make a huge killing here. But it's still kind of a neat digital indicator. Or comparator, I guess. Yeah, this next item came from a dealer who had several machinist items that he was pretty high on the prices on, but this one kind of intrigued me, and I ended up finally getting him to come down a little bit off the price, and I got this for $40. This is a Starrett model 656-517 dial indicator. It's kind of neat that it's got the original box, and the other thing that's kind of neat about it is it's one of these really large dial indicators. So when I first got it and was looking at it, I noticed that the inside there on the dial, there was a little bit of staining, and I didn't think much of it. And then I put it in the box and brought it home, and then when I went to take it out of the trunk of the car with everything else, when I opened the box, I had noticed the crystal was laying out. So the crystal had fallen right out, just like that. So what's going on here is that this crystal, it's got a dome shape to it, and it's lost its resiliency over time. So it's no longer pushing this bevel edged out to catch the groove. So if I just drop this in like that, it just barely catches, but it can fall out like that. So while it was out, I took the time to very carefully clean the face as best I could. You can just see there's a little bit of staining still underneath that subdial that was a little bit more stubborn, didn't want to come off. The underside of this crystal was also pretty dirty. Judging from the little bit of rust that I see on the thumb wheel here for the lock, it's clear to me that this was somewhere where moisture got to it. But the indicator mechanism is perfect. It works perfectly fine, no issues at all. And the good news is that you could still get this replacement crystal from Starrett, and it's about $10. And then, of course, unfortunately, the shipping's going to be probably like another $12. I can't find a generic crystal to replace this. I've bought domed crystals for other calipers and indicators online that are made in China that have worked out perfectly fine. But this particular one, it's like an 85 millimeter. It's an unusually large size, so no luck there. But anyways, that's what we got there. So I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with that. I have a couple of these large Starretts now, so I really probably should just go through and figure out what I want to keep and send some down the road. So I'm into this for $40. I might just try and make $10 or $20 on it as is, and let somebody else order the crystal and put it in. Next up is another non-machinist item that I really didn't need. I already have one of these, but couldn't resist. This is a B&K brand model 177 VTVM. VTVM stands for vacuum tube voltmeter. And back in the day, before they had digital multimeters, regular analog meters, they had a problem that they had a low impedance input, which would tend to load down circuits. So if you wanted to take a very low voltage measurement in say an RF or an IF circuit in a transceiver or an oscillator circuit or something like that, what would happen is when you would touch the probe of the meter, it would load down the circuit enough and actually cause problems, and you wouldn't get a correct reading. So this meter specifically is designed to have a very high impedance input, so it won't cause that problem. So they were very handy for alignment work and things like that, and they tended to be a little bit pricey. And the reason why they're called vacuum tube voltmeters is because they actually have tubes inside that are used for to act like preamplifiers, for lack of a better term. Anywho, or actually more like a buffer circuit, I guess would be a better way to describe it. Doesn't matter. So I knew that these were expensive when they were new, and I just saw this poor thing sitting there, and unfortunately it's missing the leads, it's missing 2 knobs, and I said, well, I didn't even ask, I just told them, so would you take $5 for this? And they said yes. So for $5 I took a chance on this. I have not plugged this in since I've gotten it. So let's enjoy this fun together. So, all right, this is off. The red light is lighting, so we have power. Oh, and as the tubes warm up, you can see the meter just deflected to the negative side. So, and now it's coming up. And if it starts going wacky all over the place, then that would be a good indication that there's a problem with, one of the tubes or more of the tubes inside. But oddly enough, right now, that seems pretty stable. So the idea is you want to wait until this comes up to full operating temperature and then calibrate it. So now I can zero the meter. So this is the zero control to zero the meter for all measurement ranges except for resistance. And when you put it in the resistance range, then you would use this one here. So right now we've got it set to AC, RMS, or peak to peak. Then we have negative DC volts, positive DC volts, because not like an auto-ranging multimeter where you can just flip the leads and it'll just give you a negative symbol to tell you that you're looking at negative voltage. No, this is this. If you apply negative voltage when you have it set to DC, it's going to try and make the needle deflect in the wrong direction, which is bad. So, and then we have ohms. So now when I bring it up to ohms, you see the meter it goes to full deflection, which is up to the infinity scale. So I'm going to bring this back down, and I'm going to set this to infinity because we've got open circuit. There's a banana jack right here for the negative with an alligator clip. So if I set this to the highest resistance range, okay, I'm wondering whether or not, yeah, there we go. I can actually get it to read my resistance of my finger. So we're reading the resistance from my fingertip that's touching the center part to this outer part. So this appears to be an operating VTVM for $5. Now the problem is I'm going to have to take to eBay to try and find the missing lead for this thing. And if I find one, I guarantee I'm probably not going to be able to get it for $5, unfortunately. So what are these trading for on eBay? Well, here we go right here. Here's one, received one bid, parts only, $20. Here's one untested, $39. Parts only, $40. This one doesn't specify, $40. This one, $70. So this one might have been advertised as a work. This one actually is shown turned on with the meter deflected. So even all the way up to $82.92. That's a weird price, huh? $70. Alright, so apparently there's still a market for them. We sort by ended recently. One just sold on May 9th. Alright. Well, you know me, I'm going to hoard this thing. Probably never get around to selling it. Turns out there's a lot of choices for probes that you can actually use on this. It's also interesting that this type of plug right here is a Switchcraft brand microphone jack that they used on these. Apparently, that's what I just found out, and I never knew that. So you can buy the part of the jack that screws onto here, and then solder on your own cable and make your own probe. Really, so the probe that came with this originally on the end, it had a large plastic part, and it had some circuitry in there, and basically it was an RF probe, so it allowed you to do exactly what I was saying, which was probe in an RF circuit and look at the DC voltage in various stages of your IF or RF or oscillator and things like that for alignment purposes. So I'm going to hold on to this for now, mainly because I haven't seen my VTVM. It's been stored since I closed my repair shop quite a few years ago. So even when I pulled that thing out, even though it was working when I put it away, I think it was an RCA Senior Volt Ohmist, if I recall correctly. Anyways, when I finally do pull that thing out, for all I know, it might not work. This one seems to be actually operating, so I'll hold on to this for now. And this little lot right here is the last of the machinist-related items that I picked up at this flea market. And then I'm going to show you just a couple other items that I picked, and we're calling this one a wrap. So this was all from the same dealer, so I went through everything he had there and put together a pile, and we did some haggling, and I got this pile for 40 bucks. And the only thing I left there was he had a couple more indicators that I didn't take because they were, I think one was a Federal DTI that was broken. That's not worth it for me to even mess with, so I left that. And there was something else there, I forgot what. But everything else here, with the exception of this, are indicators that seem like they might have some life in them. This is a little Mitutoyo. Works perfectly fine. It's got a couple of cracks in the plastic crystal, but there's nothing wrong with it. Somebody ground the lug off the back, so this is now, you would have to mount this by clamping around this part, which is not that big of a deal. So what do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm into all of these, each one of these items for about, what, $6.50, if my quick math is correct. This is a Fowler verdict indicator. So what is in this box is actually a DTI badged Fowler. So this is a T4A Fowler indicator. It's a thousandths indicator, and it actually seems to be working perfectly fine. It's got the long, skinny snout on it, which is good for going into a longer bore. It has, all that's in the case with it right now is, alright, so this is made to clamp onto this dovetail on the back here. Alright, so we got a mount for it, that's good. And then looks like we got an extra, which is good because the tip on this one looks like it got whacked. Surprised it didn't break the indicator, but got a little bit of a bend to it. And the only other problem with this is the plastic is the case won't stay shut. It's been left open for so long, and lost its elasticity with age. Yeah. Here's another little Mitutoyo, I think. Yeah. I don't know what the heck this box is for. Vacuum and positive pressure cage on. I don't know what that is, but this is what I wanted, was this Mitutoyo indicator. It's another little one here, just like this last one, but this one's actually in a lot better shape. Same thing though. Obviously came from the same shop where they wanted, for whatever reason, they didn't want those lugs on the back of these things. So, modified. Again, these are good for bore gauges and that take this style indicator. Last episode I ended up scoring a small Starrett this size, and it was a perfect fit for my Starrett bore indicator, which when I got it had a Federal in it. Oh, I'll keep those points with that. Here's another Mitutoyo. This is actually a Mitutoyo box though, so this is a Series 1, and that one's clean as a whistle too. This one, they didn't get around to grinding the lug off the back, so that's what's supposed to be on the other ones that's missing. So that's a pretty nice one there. That's marked 1410N. Let's just double check and make sure they didn't put it in the wrong. Yep, that's a 1410. That's a nice little indicator there. And the last indicator is a Fowler. That, looks just like a Tech Lock. So, not a super expensive indicator, but it is a, this is a little bit sticky. So this is gonna need just the slightest bit of love. Bet you not much at all though. So I just put a little bit of cleaner on there. So if I take the back off and put just a little bit of that cleaner and let it run down inside here, that usually will solve that issue. It's an interesting mount on the back here. That's the remnants. I'll tell you what, that's the remnants of an indicator stand, a nicer one. So definitely going to want to take that off. I have seen that stand. That is ringing some definite bells for me. Yeah, here's one off on one of my indicator stands. This is what I was kind of thinking of. That looks like a little bit different though. Yeah, so I'm not sure what brand of indicator stand that came off of, but I'll keep that with my other stuff. Alright, so that cleaned up pretty nice. I'm just going to put the little limit finger back on. What do we got in here? This will be interesting. We have an old invoice packing slip. Gafford Supplies of Foxborough, Massachusetts. I can't make out the name of who bought this thing. 1969? One only. R-2416? Yeah, that's what this is. Wow. I never would have guessed that this indicator was that old. 1969. Paid $16 for it. The original diagram of accuracy. Well, that's above my pay grade. That must have something to do with repeatability, I'm assuming. Yeah, dated 1969. And then we have another invoice in here. Let's see what this is for. Ah, the mag base. I did not get the mag base from this gentleman. He must have sold the mag base to somebody else. Well, I tell you what, I bet you they were wondering where this was. Let's see. MB2X mag base. I think that's MB2X. I wonder if we can figure out who made that mag base from that. Took some searching on eBay to find it because it's an old mag base number. If you search for Fowler mag base now, you find all the modern ones with the plastic cases. But this is a, here it is right there. Sold for $40. This is an MB-2X Fowler magnetic indicator base. Originally came in a wooden case. I have one here similar to that. I don't think it's a Fowler though. This. Oh no, it is. Oh, there it is. There's the MB2X. I have an MB2X. Oh, this is pretty bad when you avoid stuff long enough you forget. So let's see whether or not this belongs in there, because in that photograph of the one that sold on eBay, I didn't see this piece, but that might just be because maybe, oh yeah, that definitely goes to this set, because I'll tell you what that goes on. that goes on that pin right there. Boy, I'll tell you, you can't make this up. You imagine that? What are the odds of that? That I would find, that I would buy an indicator, not even realizing that it had the missing piece to this old set that I had. That is too cool for school. So if you want to know how much this set was back in the day, it was $16.50 brand new back in 1970. This was in 1970. So he bought the mag base later, only about a month or two later. I'm gonna put that slip in there. Shh! Don't tell anybody that's not the original one. All right, so I got the little pointer back on there, and looks pretty good. That's already working a lot better. See how it's slow to return right there in that last little bit? That's because there's still some stickiness up inside there. Actually, it was in the top. All I had to do was lubricate that. Clean that gum off of that, and it's working perfectly fine. The last item in this little lot that I got for 40 bucks was this right here. It's a Starrett solid steel square, number 20, with the original box, which is kind of neat. It needs some love. It's got the engraving on the side here and some rust staining, but it is in fact number 20, so it's the correct square for the correct box. I'm just going to double check real quick. I'm pretty sure I already have a number 20. So I'll probably be able to offer that one for sale. So I'm going to take you guys outside and show you the last three items. And the next item I picked up was this Clipper belt lacer, which I saw a little bit earlier on during the show. And when it was still sitting there later, a couple hours later, I talked to the guy and I talked him into selling it to me for 20 bucks. And I think we both realize the problem with these is, if you're willing to ship them on eBay, they're certainly worth more than that. It's missing the handles, and I feel pretty confident I can get 40 or 50 for this. Kind of a quick flip without having to ship it. So the next item that I bought is this little Troy-built mini tiller. So this has got a little two-stroke engine on it. And I bought it as is for 30 bucks. And the reason why I bought this was because we had bought some composted cow manure and spread it on one of the raised beds for my wife's garden. And we were having a real pain in the butt time turning it in. I've got a big Honda tiller, commercial one, big rototiller. And the problem with that is using it in the raised bed because we've got fencing around to keep the critters out and everything. So I said, what would be perfect for this kind of a job would be one of these little small tillers. Well, come to find out, these things are pretty pricey to buy new. So I was like, I don't know if I want to buy a new one. And then I remembered that Home Depot rented these. So we were going to rent one of these, and they charge $44 to rent one of these for 4 hours, or I think it's like $60 to rent it for the day. So that was what we were going to do. And then just by chance, I went to the show, and I scored this one for 30 bucks, took a chance on it, and I've got a video that's going to be coming up where I basically get this thing running. And it actually works pretty well and did a great job. Which brings me to my final purchase. I didn't actually purchase this as the last item, but anyways, I came across the dealer who had this one and haggled with him a little bit on price, and finally got him to accept my offer of 15 bucks for this one. It's another as-is tiller. This one I haven't gotten around to looking at yet. So I bought this one for a couple of reasons. First, I didn't have no idea whether or not I was going to be able to fix that Troy-built one. So if the Troy-built one ended up being unrepairable, then I could shift my focus to this one. The other reason is I figured, well, if I fix both of them, I can see which one I like better and sell one. and probably sell one for what it cost me to buy the two of these as is. Also, this is a Mantis tiller, and apparently these are the brand names in these small tillers that tend to bring bigger money. And I guess they're just, I don't know if they're better made or if they just do a better job. The design of the tines is a little bit different and everything, so I'm going to be, if I get this one running, I'm going to be interested to see how well it works. So this is Mantis, manufactured by Mantis, and I don't know who makes the motor. See, this says KIORITZ, Kioritz Corp. Well, anyways, so if any of you guys own one of these Mantis tillers, I'd be curious to see what you think of them. That one is a 2-stroke, and they make a 4-stroke model of these now. So I don't know if this is an older one or what the deal is. But anywho, so look forward to you can look forward to seeing a video of me working on that one and seeing if I can get that one to go. Alright, so that's a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Take care.